Hi, this is Emily Burmis with 120 Seconds of Leadership. We'll call it our COVID episode. Just wanted to share some things that I'm seeing in leaders and the people that we lead during this pandemic, and to try and give some tips on how to help people lead through it and also live through it. Not from a medical standpoint, I'm not a doctor, but psychologically this is certainly taking a toll, and it's definitely impacting work and leadership behaviors. So first, what am I seeing? I am seeing that under the current stress level of the pandemic and the way in which it's creating uncertainty and ambiguity and fear, people are feeling much more anxious than usual, and they're experiencing that anxiety in a way that is really just an amplification of their normal personality. So when I see people that are intense or prone to anger or outbursts, I'm seeing that be intensified at work, and that's not constructive, obviously. People who are more on the sensitive side and that are really sensitive to energy, may be a little more timid in their personalities. They're being affected in ways where their anxiety is spiking. They're feeling a lot of fear, and it can be flooding them in ways that they just are at a level of anxiety they don't know how to deal with because they haven't had it before. Just understand that people's negative behaviors or negative tendencies are going to be exacerbated right now, and that's probably going to stay the truth for a while. So we just have to show each other a little more grace than normal, I think. In terms of how to cope, the things that I think people should really be aware of. One, getting outside. I understand we're quarantined, but as far as I know, we can still walk down the street. So if you have breaks in your day, and since most of us are working from home, and even if you're not, if you can find a 5-minute break every hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, the best you can do, just get outside for 5 minutes and walk. Because that really does, just the fresh air, it's really good for people. The vitamin E is really good for people too, and it can just help clear our minds, because our minds are just so cluttered with everything we're trying to manage through this crisis. I think too, I think I read the alcohol sales are up 500%, and I'm not saying this from a place of judgment, but here's what's really critical about that. Alcohol disrupts your REM cycle, and your REM cycle is when you're dreaming, and it's usually toward the end of the night, and that's when your subconscious mind has the best opportunity to solve problems. That's where our problem solving skills are actually their sharpest. And so if we're disrupting that REM cycle, which alcohol will do, it can take what's already a really overwhelming situation, and we're having a hard time making decisions anyway. And so if you take away the REM cycle or inhibit the REM cycle, you're actually making it harder for your brain when you're awake. I would say too, the other thing that people are really experiencing, and I guess this is why I'm encouraging, be careful about the alcohol, try to get outside. You can see right now, people's minds are fuzzy. Almost every person that I've talked to, every client, every colleague that I've talked to who's, talking is saying, I just feel so foggy brained. And so there really is something collectively going on with people's ability to think. And so that's why the fresh air is good for you. I think getting out in nature, if you can find a place to do that, that will help with that, cloudy thinking too. And probably also important, limit media exposure. I like social media to a certain extent, but what I'm finding is that people's fears and anxieties are really exacerbating the kinds of posts they're making and the reactions that they're having to post, and there's so much information and no one really knows where it's coming from. So it can be good to just limit how much exposure you have to that, because again, it just adds to the fog and the confusion in our minds. And right now what our people need from us are clear thinkers, even tempers. So to the extent that we can all be shooting for that kind of middle of the road attitude and way of behaving, the easier this will be on everybody. So take those tips. Good luck, stay safe, and be well.